Good morning, everyone. So glad you could all join in for a very, very beautiful session today morning. I'm Neeta Aneja, and I'm the founder of Trends International, which is the platform for art, cultural, social, and literary experiences. With me is Shreya Aneja. She is a budding architect. She's also a spoken word poetess and also an avid reader. Today, we have a very, very special guest, and he's joining, and in fact, he's already joined us all the way from Hong Kong, Tim Gurung. It's an absolutely a big pleasure for all of us here to have you on our platform, Tim.
Thank you very much for having me.
Tim Gurung, he was born in 1962 in a Gurung village called Dhampus in mid-western Nepal. He joined the British Gurkhas at the young age of 17, as his grandfathers and uncles did before him. He served for 13 years and retired in 1993 as an Army Corporal from the legendary British Gurkha Army, after which he became a businessman and he worked in China for next 20 years. Before his 50th birthday, Tim made a life-changing decision and became a full-time writer and has since written 15 novels on serious global and social issues. And he is indeed a writer of righteousness and conscience. He currently lives in Hong Kong with his family. He leads a simple life and believes in humility. In fact, the book that we are going to talk about is Ayo Gorkhali, which is by Tim Gurung. In fact, he's been, as I mentioned, a former British Gurkha. This is, in fact, the first book of history by a member of the community and brings alive the story of people who have served flags other than their own with honor, even as they have attempted to keep their native warrior traditions alive in letter and spirit. And he writes, in fact, we'll talk about it later, for his charity, Isl Care. So welcome, Tim, to the session today.
Thank you.
To start with, as I delve into the conversations, Tim, I realize that this book goes beyond the story of valor and fighting skills of the Gurkhas. Please tell us why the story of the Gurkhas need to be told.
First of all, there are more than hundred thousands of books written about the Gurkhas, but they are mostly from the outsider. Age of that, normally what they have written is mostly about the bravery, how loyal they are, how good they are, all the only how brave they are. That's all. But no, until now, nobody has ever written, about the other side of the Gurkhas, because the Gurkhas story is not only about bravery. We are also humans. We also have feelings, and nobody tried to get that side of the story. That's why, AJ Gorkhas, ex-Gorkha myself, and Gurung, and an author, I thought the obligation was on me to tell our side of the story. That's why I had to write this story about the Gurkhas. And I'm really happy and proud that uh, I am probably the first one who has done this. And as you know, Gurkha's story is it's more than over 200 years. It's amazing that nobody has done until now for so long. So, yeah.
In fact, as I foresee and as we have always seen, that Gorkha story is not only about bravery alone, it is in fact also the story of tragedy. You also mention in the book that it is the story of resilient human spirit. So kindly enlighten us on this.
The Gurkhas are mostly very simple and straightforward people. And they mostly like laughing, welcoming, smiling all the time. But when at the same time, they're also very good at, they didn't know that they were so good in soldiering. I think they found it out accidentally. But at the same time, Gurkhas, this Gurkhas life in our community is not only about job, is also a profession, not only about profession, it's also a tradition and also a way of life. So when a young Gurkhas grew up in the village, grow up in the village, they always, only thing they see is to become a Gurkhas, because there is no other way. they don't see other things other than becoming a Gurkha. So that's how we perceive these things. How important is this for us? But at the same time, we are a very simple and straightforward people. Also, our tradition uh, teach us how to respect our elders. So when somebody give you a job, that is for you is like a god. So that's why, when we do our job, we always try our best and give our best. That was the main reason why it they becomes our grandfather becomes such a such popular during this time. Of course, life that time was big different than now. Life was very simple, not as complicated as it is now. So for them, yeah, that was the only thing they could do better. So they did their best.
In fact, I like to show everyone the book. This is Ayo Gorkhali by Tim Gurung. In fact, it's a beautiful cover. It's a beautiful book, and it has been published by Westland, and it is available on Amazon and all the bookstores all over. And Tim, we'd like to know a little brief on the book, and why should every Gurkha read it and pass it down their future generations?
Okay. Until now, as you know, the Gurkha institution is over 200 years old. But when people talk about Gurkhas, they only know about the bravery of the Gurkhas, how brave they are. They fought in World War II, First World War, Second World War, and won such VC and so won such bravery wars like that. But when you actually ask them what they did, nobody knew about it. Nobody can tell. Even our own community has no idea at all. Even I didn't know, honestly. But the reason for that is because until now, when you go to Nepal, you don't see anybody talking about the Gurkha's history. You don't read in school. There's no textbook. There's no museum. There's no library. Nobody, you cannot find, the almost anything about the Gurkha. As I said, already said before, whatever written is only from the outsider. And as I say, they just written about the bravery and nothing at all. So suddenly I realized that even when our new generations want to know what their grandfathers have done to become popular or brave or whatever, until now there was nothing. They couldn't find it. Even though they wanted to know, there was no material. Then I feel the urgency and importance of the story. Then as I said, as a Gurung, we are the main Gurkhas, and as ex-Gurkhas and an author, I thought that maybe the obligation was on me to provide one. So from now on, uh, no Gurkhas or Nepalese people will have problem finding, knowing about the Gurkhas. At the same time, one very important thing that nobody knows until now is that the part, sacrifices and contribution the Gurkhas have given to the country Nepal is massive, very important. In a brief, what I can say is Nepal history cannot be completed without the Gurkha history. So this book is not only about the Gurkhas community, but also the Nepalese people as a whole, who should know and read about this, only to know what was the history of the Gurkhas and Nepal. It's not only about the Gurkhas history, it's also the Nepal history. That's why this is very important for especially Gurkhas community and Nepalese people to read this book if they want to know about the Gurkha and Nepal's history. That's why it's very important.
I think, sir, it's amazing that you've written it. And of course, the main USP of your book is that, you're telling the stories of Gurkhas and you are part of their own community. So the story from you itself coming is a big deal. So, sir, I would like to ask, how do you feel being the torchbearer of your community and, taking the flag forward? How do you feel?
Oh, I don't feel the pressure. I just feel proud, and honor. Actually I'm surprised that it took over 200 years to write this, for someone to write this history, and I don't know why until now nobody wrote about this. Then it has, if this has to be me, and of course I'm very lucky. I also feel very lucky and proud, and I really hope that now the book is there, so people will know the exact history of the Gurkhas, and they should also feel proud uh, about their grandfathers, and know actually what they have done for the country. So I feel proud and lucky, and honor as well. So, but no pressure at all.
I think that's amazing. It's very important that, people should be aware of their history. And you're not only part of making history, but also part of writing history now. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
And so, sir, you've already written, as we talked about, 15 books. What are your future literary pursuits that you're pursuing as of now? Or if you have anything in mind that you would like to tell the listeners?
No, actually, like I said before, I started working at 17. Then I went to a foreign country, lived there all my adult life. Then when I turned 50, I suddenly realized that I'm tired, I cannot go on like this. I need to do something meaningful. So what should I do then? Then I realized that I used to write a song, some poems, and even some books when I was very young. So, but I stopped after that because I was busy raising my young family as well as establishing my family business. But now, as a semi-retiree, after 50, oh, I could do what I want to do. So I started writing again, but I didn't take it seriously until the Gurkha book. I was just writing for a pastime as a retiree. I just go to office every day as I go to the office and write whatever I wanted, but at the same time, this is a new thing for me, so I had to start everything from scratch. So now finding is interesting. So I started from the zero. Then I was finding new things, new challenges every day. So I was enjoying. So that was the case. But after the Gurkha book, it became a bit serious. At the same time, as you know, this Gurkha book, this is a non-fiction, and as I'm a novelist, so as a novelist, when you write a non-fiction, you have some kind of restriction for your writing. You will understand if you are writing. So this one, but important because it has to be the book has to be in the Gurkha history, so I cannot write a novel on it. So I just read a non-fiction, but at the same time I don't feel fulfilled, so I started the second one, but which one will be also the Gurkhas, but I wrote in a novel, it's based on facts and fiction. So that one is already done, will probably come within 2-3 years.
Oh, wow. I think
Yeah.
that will be very interesting for
Yeah.
everyone to read.
Yeah. I can go wherever I want. Twist the story. Yeah. That was free of, yeah.
That will be fiction, sir. That will be
Yeah.
fiction, right?
That was a
Based on
novel.
facts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Fact and fiction. Yeah.
That would be great. So, sir, in this book, you've covered approximately almost 200 years of history. And to cover that in one single book and, all of the research that goes into it, what are some of the challenges that you faced while researching? Was it easy to find everything that you were looking for? And how long did it take you to go through all of that history?
Actually, I started this in 2017. Then the first draft I finished around 2018, so it took 2 years. But when it came out eventually as a book, it took almost 4 years. But as you say, the Gurkhas institution is over 200 years old,
Mm.
So putting everything into a book is impossible. But what I did is, the book is, I separated it into two parts. The first part, I just put those, the main event, the story part of the things. The second part is mostly the implication that has into our community, as well as Nepal as a country. So of course, it's impossible to put everything there. It's just the tip of the iceberg. So what I had to do was to put everything that the main event and make them in a very brief, briefly. So at least when people read this book, they will at least have a general idea of how the Gurkha story started and continuing until now. So at least they will have in brief. So that was the main thing. Yeah.
I was particularly pleased to read a comment on the backside of your book by Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw, who's as we all know, the former chief of army staff, and he was also formerly with 8th Gurkha Rifle Segment. He says, and I quote, that if a man says he's not afraid of dying, he's either lying or is a Gurkha. So what a beautiful comment to make. So
Yes.
what are your thoughts on this? I mean, this is so relevant.
As I said before, the Gurkhas are mostly people from the hills of Nepal. They are very simple and straightforward people, and those saying were correct at the time of when the field master said that. That was correct. But of course, uh, now is a totally different story. Can humans are we need to revolve and progressive animals. So of course, now our new generation are more educated. They have social media, they have internet. They know almost everything, but it's still they're still very good. They still have that grittiness and the loyalty. Those things they will still have, but these are mostly appropriate for our grandfathers. And that was correct at that time, because they are just come direct from the hill, went to the army, and they haven't seen anything else. And when they see the master, the generals, they think, oh, this is like totally different, like a god. So whatever they say, they say, okay, no problem. They will just do it. So at that time of the year, it was correct. Yeah, that's why the Gurkhas are so popular. You also have to be very straightforward, or impulsive, or thick-headed, or whatever I can say. Yeah.
I think it's very fascinating, the story, and all of us, even in my group of friends, everybody has been curious, but nobody really knows the history. So I feel everybody should go back and definitely get your book. So, and coming to that, I also read somewhere that you write for charity. So could you tell us a little bit more about that?
No, at the beginning when I started writing, as we come from a rather underdeveloped country, we always feel that we need to give something to our community or country. That's why I was thinking, that's why by writing, I was trying to achieve two of my goals, two of my compassion. One is to help people, one is to write. So I thought that maybe I could write, and whatever I get, I do this. And then we started sponsoring children, student back in Nepal. And we also, because as you know, our community is also religious community. So we also help build, Buddhist monastery in Nepal. Also, we sponsor some children through World Vision. But after I tried this for a few years. It became quite difficult for me to do it, because I always live in Hong Kong. So I need to find people in Nepal to do it for me. And that was not always the easiest part. So um, I have yeah, I've been carrying, but I've not been able to do it in a big way. So probably, of course, I will continue this. Hopefully, someday I will do better.
No, all the best for that. So you have a very good cause, and whatever support we can do from India for this cause, and you are in any case doing it so much on your own too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we can move on to the interactive round. If anybody has any questions, you can drop in the chat box. And just before that, we've been very lucky. Westland has sponsored 2 books. So 2 people would be getting the books today from our side as well. And we have 2 quiz questions for that. A very simple questions. So please, I'll just be asking those questions. Please message me directly in the chat box. And whoever answers first gets the book. And at the end of the session, I'll declare the winners. So the first question is very famous, very simple. What are the 2 traits that the Gurkhas are known for, that they are famously known for? You can directly message me in the chat box, and whoever answers first will get the book. And okay, we have the answer. And the second is, what's their famous knife called? Yes, perfect. So we've already gotten quite a few answers. Perfect. Okay, I think we can move on to the interactive round. I'll declare the winner at the end of the session.
Simple questions, but I'm sure whosoever gets the book is going to be really lucky. It's a wonderful book. I have read the book and it's fantastic. So we can also, whosoever doesn't get the book can always order from Amazon or buy it from any of the bookstores. So we will move on, as Shreya said, to the interactive round. We have Neha Pandey. In fact, she's the senior history and sociology teacher at TPS Greater Faridabad. Welcome, Neha.
Very good morning to all of you. And once again, Neeta and Shreya, I must congratulate you for the wonderful sessions that you keep on getting for us. And it's a pleasure to be in each of your sessions. Sir, what do I say? You, by writing this book, Gurung sir, you have done a huge service, not just to your community, but I think you've done a huge service to history. Me being the history and sociology teacher, this is one aspect which we've always grappled with. Histories are best told when they are written by the community itself. My question to you, sir, is related to that of identity. There is a huge Gurkha history. And the veteran Gurkhas, yes, they do talk about their past. And you also said that there is one aspect of Gurkhas which everybody knows, and that is the bravery aspect. I am a little curious to know about the young Gurkhas today, the youth. So what is that identity marker which is close, which is very strong, and which is what binds the Gurkha youth today? Because it is the youth which will carry on the tradition. So what, according to you, is that strong identity marker with which the young Gurkha relates today? Is it religion? Is it the connection with the glorious military part? Is it the region? Is it the language? Is it the ethnic identities? Like, as much as I know, the Gurkha community, the 4 major ethnic communities are the Limbus, and then there are the Magars and Gurungs. And there's one more, I can't, Rais are there. So what is it that binds a young Gurkha today? What is that strong identity marker? That's what I want to know.
Okay, thank you very much. But first of all, there are mostly 4 tribes of people who were categorized as martial race by the British. So they are mostly from 2 parts. Rai and Limbu is from eastern part of Nepal. Gurung, like myself, and Magar are from the western part of Nepal. They were the backbone of the Gurkhas. As you know, Gurkhas are mostly now in the British Army, Indian Army, and Nepal Army. There is also a little bit around 2,000 in Singapore police, and mostly that's it. But when in its heyday, there were hundreds of thousands of them. But I think in India, it's Indian Army is probably 100,000. I think the biggest thing, for us is like you said, is the family history. Also, it become like I said, it's become like a tradition for us, especially to those living in the village. I don't, I cannot say the same to those people, the youngster who live in the city, like all the main cities of Nepal, but especially those who live in the villages, you know, because we live, there's are small villages. It's mostly it's a very neat community. So you know each other within the village. You are related to them, and especially, for example, our villages. There wasn't or there isn't one house that is not related or has nothing to do with the army or with the Gurkha. So because of that, it become a part of like you're part of your life, like your tradition. So those children growing up there will grow up only seeing, your father, brother, uncle, everyone going and join the army, and it was always the first priority was always the British Army, and then came the Indian Army. But I think that has changed a lot now, because also I have been living 40 years outside Nepal, so maybe my perception or the way of thinking is already out of date. But I can, as I come from Nepal, so I know how things should work there. So because also the British Army also hire very little now, just 120 or 200 maximum. Once they returned from Hong Kong, they went back to UK. Now they have to pay by themselves, so they cannot hire more. As simple as that. So they only hire, just to cover the attrition. The wastage of the army. They just enroll 150 to 200 per year. So that's nothing. So it has become maybe it's already not a very big things in Nepal, because but I think many Gurkhas, our people, youngster, go to India and join the army. So I think it's mostly is the family, it's our tradition, and also it's our way of life that make us all as a good community.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for answering that. And there's just one offshoot of a question coming from this. There are a lot of Gurkhas who have migrated in UK, in Singapore, and you yourself mentioned that you are not based in India or Nepal. So how is the Gurkha community perceived by the locals of these countries? What is the perception of the natives of these countries towards your community?
No, what happened is when the British Army, British left India in 1947. They actually left in 1948. They went to Malaysia and Singapore. At that time, the Gurkhas, Indian Gurkhas, had 10 regiments, and 4 of them have followed the British, and 6 of them remain in India. So after Malaysia and Singapore also became independent, then they went to Hong Kong in 1971. Then Hong Kong also became independent in so they had to return back to China in 1997. So the Gurkhas went to UK. On that time, in 1997, in Hong Kong, we had around 10,000 Gurkhas, soldiers, personnel. Then when they went to UK, they only took 2,500. Then from that on, it became very small, but at the same time, the Gurkhas community has evolved. They become rather smarter, if I say directly. Then because they were run down, they were let go home in many big numbers. So they just didn't stay in Nepal like ourselves. We come back to Hong Kong. We find a job because we know we can come here now. So we came here, not unlike our father or grandfather. We are rather more, we are, we know how things work. So we came back. Then found a job. So at the beginning in Hong Kong, we started from Hong Kong. Singapore is still very small, just 500 people altogether, and that's not only from the Gurkhas, including everybody from Nepal. So in Hong Kong, we had a lot of Gurkhas, and at the same time, because of the Gurkha's name, the job was very easy to get. Like because everybody thought the Gurkhas were made of metal, not people. So easy. Then what happened at the same time, the Gurkha justice campaign also started in Nepal because of the discrepancy and disparity in pension and pay, everything. That's another story. You'll also find that in the book. Then they started campaigning for the equal payment or rights, things like that. Then eventually they won the right of votes in UK in 2009. And from because of that, most of the Gurkhas, especially the British Gurkhas, those who were in Nepal or also in Hong Kong, moved to UK. So now almost all of them are gone to UK. Only me and few of them are here. So I think the new one, because as they have been living in this country, of course, as a minority, you will always face, you always get marginalized, by the mainstream. That's normal for everywhere. But for the Gurkhas, I think in the UK, their number is quite big. Also, they became pretty aware of the importance of education. So all the second generation, especially the children of those Gurkhas, are pretty good, well educated, got a good education, and they are now doing a lot of good things. So I think they're doing well.
Fantastic. Thank you, Neha, for joining in.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now we have Major General Sudeep Dutt. In fact, he's a retired Major General from the Indian Army, and he runs the NGO Prakashdeep. Welcome, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Hello, Mr. Tim.
Good morning, sir.
It was a pleasure hearing you, and knowing your army background, I am really impressed the way you have developed into an author, because there are very few army people who take to writing. Have you written about your experiences in the army? Because you joined at the age of 17. So you yourself must have experienced a lot of things in the British Army, which would be really interesting for us to know. Because as army people, we'd like to hear as to what are the experiences which you have had in the army.
Yeah, so I have one chapter in the book because I couldn't write the whole story because I have to write the whole Gurkha history. That's why I just put one chapter. But I think that one chapter should be enough because I put the most important event of my life in the army in there. So that should be enough.
So could you highlight some major points which you enjoyed while serving in the army?
Oh, I didn't enjoy it, to be honest. In short, I didn't enjoy it all. I was okay until 4 or 5 years, until 5 years. Then I realized that I was in the wrong place. But as a Gurung, I also have to look after my family and my reputation back in the village. I cannot just go say, oh, I want to go home. So I had to carry on. So I just did just enough to qualify for the pension. Then, but at the same time, I started reading a lot of books and outside newspaper and do other things. Then army thing. Then when 93, when Hong Kong was returning to China, the British Army was going back, so they had to let go many of us. So I was the right person for them to kicked me out. So I left the army, went back to Nepal, then come back, found a job, and work in China. So that's it.
That is really interesting. Normally, what we find that the Gurkha soldiers serve their full terms in India. In our regiments, they are serving full terms, and they somehow seem to enjoy serving in the army. I mean, is there a difference between the British Gurkhas and the Indian Gurkhas? These two armies have both of them.
No, even in the British Army, there probably 95% will enjoy the army because the pay is at least better, not very good, but it's better than home for the time being when we were doing where we were in the army at least. And also you are young, you do the things, you can uh, there wasn't a war, so you do the simple things and play sport and do other things. Then, and some of them, yeah, really enjoy army. Those people, who don't care about who don't have interest on outside world or internal world affair, current affair, and they enjoy, yeah. But I didn't.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
After all, each one of us thinks differently.
Yeah, no, it's the same, most or less, yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you very much. It's been nice listening to you.
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sudhir sir, for joining and gracing our platform. It's such an honor for you to be joining our platform, sir. And now we have Alka Khanna. She is a social entrepreneur and she's the executive member of Able Charities.
Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning, Tim sir.
Thank you very
It's
much.
very
Good
nice that you are really a part of history. And I must say, even we all in India reading it should get inspired by the national character the Gurkhas display. And that is much needed at this time all over the world, I think. So congratulations on the book. And it's really an honor to be a part of this conversation with you. And hope you will write again a little more about your personal life also sometime.
Yes, I will do. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Alka. Now we have Niranjan Pandit. He's the IT consultant and he raised his hand. I think he wants to ask you a question.
Okay.
Niranjan.
Hello, Gurung sir. Very good morning, and thanks a lot for sharing your experiences and the knowledge with us. My simple question is: you have said that in Nepal, the Gurkha community, or Nepal anywhere, the Gurkha community finds itself, isolated to the identity of being a soldier, and nothing like professions are available to them. That is the perception, or that is the common belief. What is it that can be done to encourage the Gorkha community to participate more into the physical fitness side of the commercial aspect? So you can talk about entering into sports, you can talk about entering into healthcare industry, because it's a huge industry, and I think the same principle of their fitness and their bravery that applies to being a soldier will also prove to be very helpful to prove the Gorkha community and their might into sports and physical fitness industry. Please share your experiences or thoughts on the same, please. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point because our people, Gurkha community, mostly, as I said before, they don't like the serious stuff. So if they could do sport, run around, do sport and play around, maybe that would be a very good choice of profession for them to excel. But at the same time, the problem in Nepal is Nepal government has always taken the Gurkhas for granted from the beginning, 200 years to until now. And you also know that it's a feudal caste system, and they have this political, this social, this religious, all these factors have to be that affect their decision. So if a community or even like a village from the village standard or a regional standard or a national standard, if they can, the government can come up with a plan, with a program, sort of program, and encourage those youngster and ask them to participate. I think it could be done. Also they would do very well in this subject as well because they are strong and like to play around, enjoy the moment rather than study serious things. So I think that's a very good point. But I wish the government, local governments or village level, the regional level, or the national level could have that kind of incentive and promote this and carry out the plan to the youth. That would have been, I think, incredible. But I don't think they would be.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
Niranjan. Thank you, Niranjan, for a very relevant question.
Yeah.
Gives you a reason to contemplate and think about it.
Yeah.
We have one last question, and thereafter we will declare the quiz round winners. We have one question from Neeta Aneja. She's an avid reader.
Hi, sir. It is so good to listen to you. I was actually curious about two things. I read your article where you talked about your love for Murakami, and I myself am a big fan. So I'm curious to know what is your favorite book of Murakami, and do you find any influence of his writing style in your own, or anything you have learned that you wanted to incorporate?
Actually, that I wrote that in my blog just because I need to write something. But to be honest with you, at my age, we don't idolize anyone. There is no need for this craze. We are too old for this thing. But at the same time,
Yes,
Sorry.
sorry.
but at the same time, when I read, he's one of the writer. I read like Murakami. I also read Salman Rushdie. Also read Arundhati. I also read most of these Asian writers because when I try to read these Western writers, their writing style is completely different than us. It doesn't excite us. Their writing is different because they have different audience. But for a writing, you don't have to idolize or copy or follow some writers. The secret of good writing, you just have to read as many books as possible, but never ever try to copy other people because your original is far better than copycat. At the same time, you must have your own style of writing, you are doing your own thing. Yeah, there's no point copying other people. So how it comes is the basic thing is you read as many books as possible. So the more you read, it doesn't you don't know what has improved, but it will improve itself. That's the key. So you have to read as many books as possible, doesn't matter what it is, and you have to write every day, one or two sentences, doesn't matter. That's the only thing, and you must love to write. And another secret of writing is you must write the subject you know the best and write from the heart. I know, like I was saying before at the end, when I started writing, I tried to write like a Western writer. That was impossible, It cannot happen. Then when I realized my mistake, then I get better and feel also better. So just be yourself, read as many books as possible. Don't copy anyone. No need to copy. I think the crazy thing, fan this thing, this all, maybe when you're young, maybe it makes sense, but for us, it doesn't make any sense at all.
Thank you, sir.
Be yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Leah.
I think now that we are finished with our interactive round, I can announce the quiz winners. So I actually got a lot of responses, but it's just based on how quick I got. So there are 2 winners only, unfortunately. Other people can definitely go on Amazon and buy the book. And so the two people who have answered the fastest was Niranjan Pandit and Jay Dadich. So congratulations. The books will be reaching you very soon. And rest, all of you can definitely go and buy the book online. And so I think we come to the end of our session. Thank you so much for everyone to joining us. Please do subscribe to our channel. It's called Trends Events. We have a lot of author interactions. All of them have been very knowledgeable. And today especially, thank you so much, sir, for joining in. This was an amazing session. And I would also like to thank Westland Books for sponsoring the two books, which will be reaching the winners. And also, of course, Sandeep Unithan sir, who helped us connect you and us today. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. It's a nice.
Thank-
It was my pleasure and honor to be with you. Very nice.
Thank you, Tim, for taking out so much of your precious time. And this is the book which I have read, and it's wonderful, and congratulations. And I'm sure this book will do wonders to the Gurkha community and their identity, and everyone will get to know about Gurkhas more in detail through your book. And we hope to have you in India soon. And we will definitely organize a session for you so that you can meet all your fans here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Wesley.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for joining in. It was a pleasure for everyone to be here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.